Look, let's be honest, America. We're about as unified as a bag of cats trying to cross a highway during rush hour. And at the center of this swirling vortex of discord sits Donald J. Trump, a man who seems to possess the uncanny ability to make even the most mundane conversation devolve into a screaming match about socialism, immigration, or whether or not pineapple belongs on pizza. But recently, things have taken a dark turn. We're not just talking about strongly worded tweets or awkward family Thanksgiving dinners anymore. We're talking about something far more disturbing, a growing undercurrent of anger and hatred directed at Trump, with some even expressing a desire to see him dead. Now, before you grab your pitchforks, or your Make America Great Again hats for that matter, let's be clear. This video is not about condoning violence, it's about trying to understand the root of this anger, the why behind this deeply unsettling phenomenon. From the moment Trump descended that escalator, he was a lightning rod for controversy. His policies, often described as populist and nationalist, were deeply divisive, sparking fierce debates about immigration, healthcare, and trade. For his supporters, he was a straight-talking outsider, a businessman who promised to drain the swamp of Washington corruption. But for his detractors, he represented a dangerous shift towards authoritarianism, a threat to the very fabric of American democracy. This fundamental clash in ideologies, fueled by a constant stream of partisan rhetoric, created a deeply polarized political landscape, one where compromise seemed impossible and anger became the default setting. Trump's rhetoric, often described as inflammatory and divisive, has been cited as a major source of anger and resentment. His comments about women, minorities, and immigrants have been widely condemned as offensive and discriminatory. For example, his remarks about Mexican immigrants being rapists and his proposed ban on Muslims entering the United States sparked outrage and protests. His use of social media to attack his opponents, often in personal and demeaning terms, further inflamed tensions and contributed to a climate of hostility. This pattern of incendiary language, combined with his often impulsive and unpredictable behavior, has led some to question his fitness for office and fueled a sense of fear and anxiety among his critics. Chapter 3. Trump's presidency was plagued by a seemingly endless series of scandals and controversies, from allegations of collusion with Russia to accusations of obstruction of justice. These legal battles and investigations, coupled with his administration's chaotic and often contradictory policies, further eroded trust in his leadership and fueled a sense of anger and frustration among his opponents. The constant drip of negative headlines, combined with Trump's own defiant and often combative responses, created an atmosphere of perpetual crisis and heightened the sense of polarization in American society. For many, it felt like the norms and institutions that had long underpinned American democracy were under attack. This sense of unease and uncertainty, coupled with the very real consequences of Trump's policies on issues like healthcare, immigration, and the environment, led to a deep sense of anger and resentment among those who felt he was actively harming the country. Chapter 4. For many Americans, Trump's presidency represented a fundamental threat to the values and ideals they hold dear. His policies, often seen as discriminatory and harmful, sparked widespread protests and activism. The Me Too movement gained momentum during his presidency, highlighting the pervasiveness of sexual harassment and assault. The Black Lives Matter movement, founded years earlier, gained renewed urgency in response to police brutality and racial injustice. These movements, along with others focused on climate change, LGBTQ+ rights, and economic inequality, reflected a deep-seated belief that Trump's presidency was pushing America in the wrong direction. It's crucial to understand the anger and fear that fuel these extreme sentiments. Many feel that Trump's actions have eroded democratic norms, stoked division, and threatened the very fabric of American society. Their anger, while misplaced in its extremity, stems from a place of genuine concern for the future of their country. However, it's vital to remember that advocating for harm against anyone, even someone as polarizing as Donald Trump, is never acceptable. It's dangerous It's illegal, and it only deepens the divisions that plague our nation. Instead of resorting to violence or threats, we must channel our energy into constructive dialogue, peaceful protest, and engagement in the democratic process is the only way to bridge the chasm of anger and build a more just and equitable society for all.